Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Welcome, survivors. This is Eerie Knight of the Pseudo Posse, and today I'm going to present you with an alternative crawling horde-based design. It is a simple change, but allows for a ton of new build opportunities. This is one such design that derives from this minor tweak. The core concept of this horde base is both easy to understand and even easier to build. It is pretty much common knowledge at this point, thanks to the work of other 7 Days to Die content creators, that zombies will now crawl if they enter a region that is 1 1/4 block length in height. In that original design, this is achieved by placing a cube below and a cube 3/4 shape with a single block gap space above the full cube. But did you know that order doesn't matter? All that matters is that the total height is 1 1/4 blocks. This means you are able to place a cube 3/4 shape on the bottom with a full cube on top. No big deal, you might think. Wrong. A very big deal. The cube 3/4 is quite a special block. There basically are no useful shapes you can use to replace the cube 3/4 to achieve the same space between the upper and lower block. Most shapes, when rotated towards the bottom of its voxel space, are located at the very bottom, not a quarter block above the bottom. However, the full cube shape doesn't have this issue. There are many blocks that can achieve the same height as the cube shape does when used with the cube 3/4. All of these lovely shapes one can melee or shoot through and are at the exact same height. I hope now you can all see where this is going. By switching the cube and cube 3/4 shape positions and then replacing the cube itself with a good barricade shape that will allow us to melee or shoot through, we can design a horde base in which zombies crawl underneath us while we hit them from up above on their precious heads all night long. And the design couldn't be any easier. All you need to do is build a crawling corridor, place a shape like the scaffolding ladder on top in place of the full cube, and a half block beside it. The reason for the half block is it allows the player to stand a bit lower so you can more easily hit zombies passing underneath. And the reason for the single scaffold is that if you place too many consecutive see-through shapes in a row, zombies will follow you instead of the path and try to break through towards your location. The other major feature of the base is the use of the ramped 6-meter O3 shapes again, as they are arguably one, if not the best zombie dropping shape. This extends from the end of the crawl region to a ladder that connects to the player position, completing the zombie path for their tiny little AI brains to follow. Also, another note about the design is that if you build sidewalls along the crawl region, zombies will in fact be very likely to stop and beat on them. Because you are standing right above them, they feel they can simply destroy the sidewalls to reach your position. This spells disaster, as they will potentially collapse your base, or at the very least, bust open some blocks and start pouring in to attack. Instead, support the crawl corridor with support columns that do not touch the crawling region directly, have no walls surrounding the area around the crawl space, and most zombies will simply crawl through, allowing you to poke at their heads with your weapon of preference. However, you'll still have a stubborn few that will, on occasion, try to beat on the cube part of the crawling corridor. To counter that, either use the strongest material for the cube part of the path you have available, or consider putting in periodic repair holes along the corridor so that if you hear any beating, you can go repair. Ultimately, that wasn't necessary for me because they never destroyed the path, but it is a potential issue you might run into, so be aware. I would also recommend building this base upon a hill or a mountain. Reason being, you can save a bunch of blocks and by extension all the resources in its construction by building off a higher elevation and extending the base over a lower elevation area to achieve a roughly 15 block drop distance when zombies fall from the slide or get knocked down from getting their heads poked. You'll absolutely need that drop distance to prevent zombies from entering destroy everything mode, which for new players quite literally means zombies will briefly stop chasing after you and instead focus their hatred upon the closest blocks available. And since they'll be right by the supports for the whole base after they fall and enter this mode, it would be a terrible idea for them to start destroying these blocks especially. Then you can say goodbye to your base. I built my base on a smaller hill, but as long as you can achieve the drop distance, then you're set. When building the stairs that enter the crawling corridor, make sure you build closer to the part of the hill that starts to immediately lower in elevation, as building too far inwards at the top will force you to make an extra long path, which could lead to several problems. like zombies seeing the path as too long and instead opting to bash on the supports. I have seen many people in my prior videos comments ask why the zombies attack their base instead of following their path. This is one of the major reasons. The path is too long, so make sure to build towards the top edge of hill or mountain and make the overall path shorter. Also, the design of the stairs itself doesn't matter too much. Just fit the natural contours of the mountain and give the zombies plenty of options to run up. Don't make the stairs too tall directly, leading from the top into the crawling corridor, as zombies will more likely to bash on the stairs, resulting in your stairs getting destroyed. Shorter stairs is the way to go in this region, as you don't want infernal zombies that 250 block damage on default settings to start demolishing your stairs and thus your base. Since this design doesn't really allow for multiple stair entrances from the top platform into the corridor, you really need to safeguard this region. Another important design consideration is the fact that while zombies move slower when crawling than running, they still move fairly quickly. With a little practice, you can pretty reliably hit zombies as they pass by. But if you really want to make it super easy, add a single electric fence post that passes through the block immediately below your position along the cube half and scaffolding ladder positions. I attached my fence post to some blocks running in between my support columns on either side. You'll also want a way to repair the fence post through the Horde, which can be achieved by adding a hatch behind your position. In any case, the fence posts make your life extremely easy. Not only are they dramatically slowed, but also crawling zombies stand up when stunned, as shown in this prior melee base video I did. This is extremely advantageous in this situation, as we are directly above them, so a zombie standing upright makes it much easier to hit, and gives us easy access to their heads. Conversely, in the past melee base design, a crawling zombie path in front of that melee fighting position would actually block their heads, which is why I opted for running zombies in that case. But here it works too damn well. You'll have no shortage of zombies to slice and dice all night long. I rather like the machete for this design, though you certainly can use any melee weapon you want. You can get all that bleed damage stacked, so if they run off without dying, the bleed damage can keep ticking away and either they die on the way back around or they'll return to you and die on the spot. Also, since the stun baton is just a generally overpowered weapon now, courtesy of the mastery intellect, it does bear mentioning that it works extremely well here. You can knock zombies around, and they can even get stuck in hilarious ways, completely unable to do anything, attack, or retaliate. This design definitely works very well with the stun baton, so for those looking for an alternative to last week's design, here you go. Enjoy. Like I mentioned, the building of this base is incredibly easy. Just find a suitable mountain or hill, build towards the edge of the top near the point where the elevation begins to slope downward. Use a combination of cubes and stair shapes to achieve a nice hilltop mountaintop platform with some stairs going in several directions. Make sure the slope of the hill isn't too steep that zombies cannot easily climb, so the stairs over the more suspect parts of the area are very helpful in making your base easier for them to loop around. The columns can be made from any shape, but I used the metal trussing 3D to give it a more interesting texture, but you do you, audience. From there, simply add the bottom of the crawling corridor using cube 3/4 shapes, and the top using cubes, except where you want to melee through or repair through if zombies beating along the path becomes a problem. I ultimately used the scaffolding ladder as I found zombies could easily slip through the cube 7-meter round catwalk rails only 0-1 shape. And of course, place the cube half block by the scaffolding ladder to make melee hits easier. And whatever you do, do not build the sidewalls along the corridor. I originally did that, and I learned to regret it. Under no circumstances, repeat that mistake. Beyond the crawling corridor, place the classic ramp 6-meter 03 slide, a row of 3 blocks long of these ramp shapes, followed by another row with the opposite orientation right above them. And above that, the cube half shapes. Place some ramp 6-meter 02 shapes in front of the slide to help prevent zombies getting stuck and beating on it. Make sure to connect the path from the slide to your top position by adding a simple ladder, which zombies will never reach, and connecting that to your fighting position. Then it's just a matter of enclosing the space. I used plate blocks now that any solid block prevents cop spit and by extension, plague spitters and frost claws. Don't forget to cover your roof in spikes, as that will prevent vultures from being a threat. That pretty much covers the gist of this base design. Like I said, easy to understand and build, and it works very well, especially if you like melee. No reason you couldn't use guns, but this is definitely built built to make melee possible late game. Hope you all enjoyed the video. If you learned something new or just enjoyed the journey, please give the video a like, as the YouTube algorithm needs them likes to help spread the video far and wide. And if you aren't already subscribed, click on the button and tap the bell for notifications. And if you are subscribed and already clicked on that bell, don't click those again, please. Lastly, I'd like to give a special thanks and shout out to our awesome Patreon community. You guys keep the channel growing and have also made it possible for me to launch the Pseudo Posse community server where like-minded geeks can all play together. Join the also newly launched Discord server for more details. On that note, this is Eerie Knight signing off. See you all in the next one.